I wanted to solve these inequalities for y equals, right? Because you have to solve it before you graph it. What would I do on this first inequality? Just divide by 2 on both sides. Y has to be less than 3. That's it. And then I could graph the line y equals 3 if I wanted to. What type of a line is that? It is dotted, and I should be more specific. What other kind of special line is it? It's horizontal when you graph it, dotted. Okay, now what do I have to do on the second example to get y by itself? Get rid of the x by subtracting it. I don't have to flip the sign because I'm just subtracting the x. So y is greater than negative x plus 10. So what would I graph? Y equals negative x plus 10. And this will help you for tomorrow too. How do you get it in slope-intercept form? Does everybody have a copy of this? Back of page 113? You all know where we are? Okay, let me know if you need a copy of it. All right, getting a little bit harder. What would I do on this next example to get y by itself? A couple different routes we could go here. Subtract which one? Subtract the 6x, that's what I would do too, to the other side. So I have negative 3y is less than or equal to negative 6x plus 12. That's all I have to do so far. Now, what do I do next? All right, here's the tricky part. When you divide by a negative number, what do you have to remember? This sign right here is going to get flipped around, and I'll show you why that is in just a minute. Y is greater than or equal to 2x, because negative 6 divided by 3, and minus 4. Let's pretend someone else did this problem another way. What if I had added 3y to start the problem? 6x is less than or equal to 3y plus 12. Now, oh, wait a second. Yeah, now when I subtract 12 to the other side, 6x minus 12, 3y, divide by 3, I don't have to flip the sign. 2x minus 4, y. Do you see how the shark's mouth is facing the y? See how the shark's mouth is facing the y? So we got the same answer only because we flipped the sign with the negative number. So if you divide or multiply by a negative, you have to remember to flip the sign. All right, see if you can do that last one on your own. How would I solve this last one for y? On a couple of these down below, we're going to have to do that. See if you can do it, that last one. Divide by negative 4. Y is, I have to flip the sign, and then negative 3x. So it was a one-step problem, but you've got to remember to flip that sign over. So only if you multiply or divide by a negative number. It flips that sign around in the middle. If you add or subtract, it doesn't do anything. If you divide by a positive number, it doesn't do anything. It's just kind of because of adding, like this is a negative number, but I can add it to the other side. When you divide by a negative, like it changes this to a positive. So if you think about the number line and inequalities, if you're in positive world, but then you're in negative world, it's almost like it's flipping which is the bigger or smaller number. Right, because the more negative that you are, right, if I'm negative 8 or if I'm negative 20, the more negative you are, the less you are worth. So it's kind of that inequality, it flips the value of the inequality but with that negative number. Okay, let's put graphing these. I think everybody was here yesterday. So let's change it to slope-intercept form. Y equals negative x plus 5. This is going to help you practice for your quiz too, because you're just graphing a line. Is this going to be dotted or solid before I graph it? Dotted. So always double check. This is a strictly less than symbol. Number 3 is going to be dotted, but number 4 is going to be solid line. All right, so I graph this line, and then we're going to shade above or below the line. Who needs a ruler? Because the ruler got snapped. Anyone need a ruler? There's like four over here. There's one in there. You have a ruler here. You got one. You want it. You got one. You want it. This one. Two. Okay, so I am going to start at what? +5 right here. And my slope is down 1 over 1. So I can make it into the fraction -1 over 1. -1 over 1. So that's a slope of -1. And then what you do is you just kind of dot along that with your pen or pencil. That just means that the line is not part of the solution. So if I plug in one of those points, it's not going to make it true. Now I read the inequality. Y is less than, Y is smaller than the line. Where are the Y values smaller? Down here, right? So I'm going to shade below this line with my colored pencil, which I didn't grab for myself, so I need to go grab a colored pencil. The other thing that you can do is plug in a point. So for example, here this is the point 0, 0. If I plug 0, 0 in, it should make this true. Is 0 less than 0 plus 5? 0 is less than 5, so it's true. So 0 is included in the solution region. And you can always double check that you shaded it the right direction. All right, the next one. This one's going to take a little bit of work to get things by itself. What should I do to get it by its y by itself? Subtract x to the other side. I like it. So I'm going to write up here a little bit. So I need some more room. So I've got -2y is greater than or equal to -x plus 2. Sorry, I didn't give you a lot of room to write it. So I subtracted x from both sides. So I have up here -2y is greater than or equal to -x plus 2. What's my next step to get y by itself? Divide by -2 everywhere. Y is, I have to flip the sign, right? Because I divided by a negative. So I have to say y is less than or equal to negative divided by negative. This will become positive 1/2 x. Because I'm taking -1 divided by -2. And then I'm going to subtract 1 because 2 divided by -2 is -1. So let's graph the line. It's going to be a solid line this time, we said. So we're going to start at -1. So I go to -1 on the y-axis, slope of up 1 over 2. So I start at -1 and I do a slope of up 1 over 2. Solid line, cutting my grid right in half. All right. Who wants to take a guess about shading above or below this line? It is below because this says y, the y values are less than the value of the line. Where are the y values below the line? Down here. So I'm going to shade everything below this line. Number 5 and 6 are special kinds of lines. So let's rewrite those. If this was just y equals 8, what kind of a special line is y equals 8? It's what? Horizontal. And should it be solid or dotted? Solid. So horizontal line at 8, solid line. And you figure out if you should shade above it or below it based on that inequality. Should I shade above it or below it? What did you say? Above or below? Where are the y values smaller than 8? All down here, right? Those are all the y values that are smaller than 8. So I want to include them in my solution region. Anything in here has a y value smaller than 8. For example, this is the point 8, 4. The y value is smaller than 8. Over here, I'm at negative 10, 0. The y value is smaller than 8. So everything in here is part of my solution. See if you can do number 6. It's another special kind of line, just like number 5, but now it's x equals 0. So think about, is it dotted or solid? Which side do I shade on? Project the schedule for tomorrow up on the board. I'm doing a vertical line, right? At 0, that's dotted. Did you shade to the left or the right? The x values are all bigger than 0. Here, the x values are bigger than 0. So you should have shaded all that part right there. How many of you remember shading inequalities from maybe Algebra 1? I don't know if you did it in Algebra 1 or if it got skipped over. Not recalling this? This is new? I'm not sure. What about Algebra 1B people? Didn't look at inequalities? Okay, that's fine. All right, let's do like 2 examples. I'm going to do, why don't I do number 8, and then you guys can try number 7. Here's a system, right? More than one. Number 8 takes a little bit of work. How do I get number 8 so that the y is by itself? I'm going to have to subtract the x to the other side, right? So I get y is greater than negative x. All right, I can graph that. That has a y-intercept of 0, and it has a slope of negative 1. So down 1 over 1. And I should think to myself, okay, this is a dotted line. So lots to think about before you even start graphing it. So I'm going to go to 0, 0, and I'm going to go down 1 over 1, right? So that has a slope of negative 1, and I'm going to dot it all the way across my paper. And this is when you're going to need your 2 different colors. Should I shade above or below that line? I like that orange and green theme. Which row has the orange and green? Come on, this is what? Y is bigger than. So we should be shading up here, right? These y values up here are bigger. So I'm going to shade this triangle green. And I have to draw another line on there. So don't draw it too dark if you've got black or something or brown. Okay, so, all right, I have to do y is less than or equal to negative 1/4 x. I'm going to do a solid line. I just write it down so that I can see that I thought about it. And it has, again, a y-intercept at 0, slope of negative 1/4. Down 1 over 4. Negative 1/4, right? Down 1 over 4. Up 1 over 4. So where should I shade this one? Here's the line that I'm looking at right now, right here. Where do I want to shade this one? It says y is less than the negative 1/4. I want to shade below, right, this slanted line. So that I'm going to make orange, and there's one little triangle sliver where they overlap each other. So you want to indicate where is the region where they overlap each other so that whoever's looking at your answer knows, okay, they knew that was the feasible region. All right, you try 7, and then we'll put this away for today. You try 7. I'll put up my answer in just a minute. And there is the answer.